A new law in Russia threatens fines for profanity in films, literature, media, music, and theater, and the restriction, the toughest since the Soviet era, aims to protect the Russian language and has been welcomed by those who say cursing is out of control.
But many artists reject the move as censorship in line with a string of conservative morality laws in Russia. VOA Moscow correspondent Daniel Schearf tells me about the controversy and how it has affected Russia's arts community.
Russian theater emerged from the strict propaganda of the Soviet era as a diverse forum for social discourse and creative expression. But a recently enacted law against profanity hits theaters with fines of up to $1,400 if their work includes swear words deemed inappropriate.
Daniel, whom does this law affect the most?
Well, it affects anyone who's going to be performing in a public space, such as actors who may be involved in theater, anyone who's going to be showing a film festival or involved in distribution of films in theaters where the public would be viewing them. It also affects music and books to some degree as well, but they're mainly going to be marked that they contain profanity inside of them and sealed off in tape according to the law. So when it comes to people who could actually face fines, we're talking about mainly the theater and film industries here.
And there have been concerns about this. What are the primary worries that people have?
Well, the big concern is that this, of course, could be a step towards increased or stronger censorship of any sort of public performance, whether it's film or theater, and even the written word, of course, because this does affect any kind of printed material as well. People have to be careful what they're printing now, because if it does contain swear words, perhaps even in a quote, it's not really clear because it's a fairly vague law, then they could face a fine. And is this just the beginning of something that's going to lead to even tighter controls? That's the biggest concern right now.
But it's interesting, Daniel, because you spoke to people who are in support of the law as well. So what do they say, these supporters?
We have to look at the law for what it is right now. It's targeting certain very strong swear words in the Russian language.
The law's supporters, like Moscow State University history professor Anna Kuzmina, say it will help promote a better artistic culture.
My personal opinion, and I support this law, is that profane language has almost become the norm and even acquired a certain charm. Frequently, people do not take the trouble of finding the words and speak emotionally, expressing themselves with 5 or 6 four-letter words.
In terms of censorship, how does this play into the overall scene in Russia of censorship and of suppression of dissent?
Well, we've seen a movement by the authorities here in Moscow. The Kremlin wants to take a much more conservative line towards what the media is putting out. Certainly, they've taken control of most of the media here in Russia, television stations, even newspapers. There are very few independent voices in the media. And so this is considered part of that overall conservative trend.
And as a foreign journalist yourself in Russia, do you feel any of that censorship affecting your own job?
For foreign journalists, we of course are not under the control of the Russian government by any means. So we're able to report what we want to report. That's not affecting us directly. Indirectly, of course, just being in an environment where you see a lot of your Russian colleagues and contemporaries feeling the pressure from the Kremlin, feeling like they can't report in a balanced way or else they're going to get a phone call. And some of them have actually told me directly that some from the independent media that they're under incredible pressure, that they have inspections from government authorities on a regular basis and phone calls and emails and so forth. Very strong pressure against them to toe the Kremlin line. So that's very unfortunate, and it's sad to feel that overall environment here in Moscow when there are so many good writers and so many good journalists who are now feeling the pinch.
And again, our thanks to VOA's Daniel Schearf. Daniel tells us Russia is taking this profanity battle to the internet next, with plans to launch swearbot software designed to root out language deemed inappropriate online.